Hello, Board of Directors. My name is Jameson Onyebuchi, and the reason why I'm here is because I've been working with the Executive Board of Directors to come in and answer some questions about some of the charitable donations that you guys can make. I understand that a lot of you individuals are high net worth individuals and want to figure out a way to optimize some tax deductions and also make an impact in the world. So, what we're going to discuss today are two specific types of ways that we can make a charitable donation and also take advantage of some type of tax deduction. So what we're going to compare is we're going to look at private foundations and how they compare to public charities. So we want to understand how they differ and which one is right for you. Some important questions that we want to ask today. We want to ask, for one, what is a private foundation? And then we also want to ask what a public charity is, how they relate to each other, and what is significant about them. What is a private foundation? A private foundation is a nonprofit organization that may be created and controlled by a family to contribute to charitable causes. These are not held requirements that are governed to public charities or supporting organizations. The biggest difference between a private foundation and a public charity is the fact that a private foundation is private. What is a public charity? A public charity is also called a supporting organization. The public charities are not typically as restrictive or has as many limitations as a private foundation has. Specifically, foundations that don't actually administer their own programs, called non-operating foundations, are the ones that are very strict, and we'll discuss these in a few slides. So when we look at public charity deductibility, with the example of donating cash to a public charity, you're able to deduct up to 50% of the donor's AGI. Now, when deducting, we have to understand that anything in excess of the 50% of AGI is going to be carried forward as an itemized deduction for the next 5 years. Private foundation deductibility, in contrast to public charities, with the same example of donating cash, we want to understand that the contrast and difference here is that the deduction for private foundations is only 30% of the donor's AGI, as opposed to public charities that gets the 50% deduction of AGI for the donor. Now, for appreciated property, these are things such as real estate or stocks. The fair market value is used up to 30% for the donor's AGI for deductibility, and this is for a public charity. Now, in contrast, the private foundations, which are considered non-operating foundations, which we talked about earlier, can only deduct up to 20% of the donor's AGI. Now, for non-operating foundations, the reasons why these are a lot more strict than others is because these foundations do not administer their own programs. Now, when we look at the non-operating foundations, because of how strict they are, the deductions are only available if the appreciated asset is a qualified stock, which essentially means that it consists of publicly traded shares. Now, regulations for both options between public charities and private foundations. With public charities, they're pretty straightforward, and they're only subject to the intermediate sanction. Now, on the other hand, with private foundations, they tend to be a lot stricter and they're subject to more erroneous operating rules under the code section 4940 through 4945. So, to keep it simple, the private foundations are just stricter and have a set of rules that you want to abide by unless you want to pay penalties and excess tax. So let's take a look at these different rules. Rule 1, a 1% to 2% tax on net investment income. Rule 2, an excise tax of 5% or more on foundations investment assets if they are not distributed on an annual basis. Rule 3, an excise tax on high-risk investments that could potentially be a lost benefit to charitable purpose. In other words, this is also referred to as jeopardy investments. Rule 4, an excise tax on prohibited transactions between foundations and certain members that could be considered insiders. Prohibited transactions could be things that include compensation, loans, sales, goods and services between foundations and certain members contributing. And the last rule, Rule 5, excise tax on taxable expenditures such as payments to individuals or entities that are not charities. Now, I know that was quite a bit with all the rules for the private foundations, but the good thing about the public charities is that they're not subject to these rules. Now, I know the biggest question that you're asking after going through the presentation of understanding some of the nuances of the private foundation, some of the benefits of that as well, and also understanding how a private foundation versus a public charity works. You want to know probably what's the right option for you. So here are a few cues to look at. So if you're looking for complete control and want the foundation to remain in the family over generations, and also if you want to make grants to beneficiaries who are private individuals for studying, traveling, for similar purposes, or scholarship, fellowship, awards, prizes to help improve literacy, artistic, musical, scientific, teaching, and other similar capacity skills or talent of the grantee, then you'd want to go with a private foundation. Now, some of you probably don't want to go with a private foundation just because of some of the rules and how stringent they are. Now, the flip side is, if you're looking to take advantage of higher deductions, if you're interested in simplicity, if you want to avoid excise tax, if you want to avoid distributing 5% annually of the fair market value, then I think the public charity would be right up your alley. Now, for a quick recap, the private foundation and a public charity can both help with personal interest, as well as saving a lot on taxes, which is very important for most high net worth individuals like yourselves. It's important to consider these benefits when making a difference in the world that we live in as well. Now, those are just a few nuggets Obviously, I'd like to get a chance to work with you on an individual level. So if you're looking for a smarter way to give to charity, make tax-deductible donations, support any qualified charity, donate cash, stock, or other types of investments, we can set up some time to do some individual consulting. My number is 972-263-6473, and I can also be reached at my email, jamesononyebuchi@gmail.com. Thank you for allowing me to present this to you, and I hope to work with a lot of you in the near future and also get your friends and family out to also help them on their step to making an impact in the world.